Have you ever felt that something inside you can no longer carry the weight of that betrayal? As if your soul knew there was an injustice too great for you to resolve alone? It's not weakness. It's not victimhood. It's not a lack of faith. It's a sign. And what is happening now on the spiritual plane explains exactly why this wound still throbs within you, and why, even when trying to forget, something insists on reminding you of who turned their back, who lied looking into your eyes, who ate your bread and then sharpened the knife against you. I know you've tried to move on. You've tried to convince yourself that it doesn't matter. You've pretended, in front of others, that it didn't shake you. But here, alone with yourself, the truth is different. It still hurts. And this pain that doesn't fade is not a flaw of yours. It's a message. I need to tell you something before I continue. Chosen one. Today, the iron hand of God has weighed heavily. It weighed heavily against those who betrayed you. And you didn't even realize it, because you were too busy carrying a pain that was no longer yours to bear. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see, a game where the betrayal you suffered was never about you being weak, but about you being too dangerous for the enemy to leave free. Think, what if all that pain of betrayal, that feeling that they trusted you and you trusted them back and yet you were stabbed, was precisely the proof that you are not just another victim in this story, but the central piece of a battle they decided to wage in the shadows precisely because they were afraid of the light you carry. Because this is what no one tells you. No one wastes time attacking someone who poses no threat. The deepest betrayal always falls upon those with the greatest calling. Look closely at what I am about to reveal to you now. When someone betrays you, the first thing the world teaches you is to react, to retaliate, to return the poison, to prove that you too know how to hurt. But there is a truth they have hidden from you for centuries. The betrayer is already being judged by a court you cannot see. The exact moment they decided to deceive you, they didn't just sign your pain, they signed their own sentence. Because there is a spiritual law that no human court can revoke. Everything that is sown is reaped, and whoever plants betrayal in the life of a chosen one of God is planting in a land that belongs to the Creator himself. That betrayer may have left that encounter thinking they won. They may have slept soundly that night. But what they don't know is that there is a record. There is a scale. And this scale does not err, does not delay, and most importantly, has no mercy for those who harm the marked ones of the Most High without repentance. You were betrayed. I know. And perhaps you've been sleepless for nights, replaying the scene, asking how you didn't notice, asking why that person, asking where God was when it all happened. I will answer you. God was exactly where he always was, taking note, writing down every false word, every feigned smile, every embrace that hid a blade. Because the God you serve does not sleep, does not slumber, and most importantly, does not forget those who harm his own. And while you tortured yourself asking why, heaven was already preparing the answer. But God's answer never comes in the form our flesh desires. We want to see immediate punishment. We want to see the betrayer humiliated before us. But God operates in a time and depth that make any human revenge seem like child's play. And this is where the first layer of the game lies. The visible layer is the betrayal itself, the person, the act, the lie. But beneath it lies an invisible layer, and in that layer you discover something disturbing. That person did not act alone. They were an instrument. They were used. There is a force that specializes in placing betrayers in the path of the chosen ones because it knows that betrayal has a unique power. It doesn't destroy the body. It tries to destroy trust. And when you lose trust, you close yourself off. And when you close yourself off, you stop fulfilling that for which you were born. Do you see the scale of the game? They didn't just want to hurt you. They wanted to paralyze you. They wanted you to never open your heart again. They wanted you to spend the rest of your life distrusting even those who truly love you. Because an isolated, bitter, and distrustful chosen one is a neutralized chosen one, and that for the enemy is worth more than any visible destruction. That's why I wrote this digital book, The Chosen One's Manual for Protecting the Family. This book is not just reading, it's a map that shows who is playing against your peace, What are the rules they never told you about how betrayal is used to weaken the chosen ones, and what entities from other dimensions have already revealed about the exact moment we are living in, this time when betrayers multiply precisely because the number of awakened ones is also growing. This book was created for those who have been betrayed enough to know that pain is not random, that there is a pattern, there is a dark purpose behind every knife plunged into the back, and who are ready to go beyond the shallow answers the world offers, like turn the page or move on. The link is in the first comment pinned at the top. But I need to warn you, this type of content rarely remains available for long. What is on these pages challenges narratives that many have an interest in keeping intact, because as long as you believe that betrayal defeated you, you remain meek, you remain quiet, you remain easy to manipulate. And there have been attempts to silence this knowledge before. Don't wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, chosen ones, because you didn't arrive at this video by accident. Download now and comment below. I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. And now that you've decided to act, let me tell you the next truth. Because it is the final blow against this oppression they tried to place upon you. There is a reason why you cannot simply forget who betrayed you. And it's not because you are resentful. It's because while you hold on to this pain, you are holding on to something that no longer belongs to you. Betrayal, after it happens, ceases to be your problem. It becomes a problem between the betrayer and God. And that is exactly where the part no one teaches you about forgiveness comes in. Pay close attention to this, because this single sentence can change the next few years of your life. The debt of betrayal is not yours to collect. You were the victim, not the judge. And every time you try to occupy the place of the judge, you free the true judge from acting, because God is a gentleman. He does not contend for the throne with anyone, not even with the wounded child who insists on taking justice into their own hands. The world sold you a lie about forgiving. They told you that forgiving is pretending it didn't hurt. They told you that forgiving is letting the person come back, is turning the other cheek to be slapped again, is erasing the memory as if nothing had happened. A lie. Forgiving is none of that. Forgiving is the most powerful act of a chosen one because it is the moment when you look at the betrayal and say, "This is no longer mine. I return this matter to the hands of him who judges with perfect justice." When you truly forgive, you are not freeing the betrayer. You are freeing yourself from the prison of having to be judge, executioner, and victim all at once. Forgiving does not mean that the person regains access to you. You can forgive and close the door. You can forgive and never respond to a message again. You can forgive and move on with your life without that person in it. Forgiveness is not mandatory reconciliation. Forgiveness is inner liberation. It is you cutting the cord that still binds you to the one who hurt you. Think with me. While you harbor hatred, it is you who sleeps poorly. While you plan revenge, it is you who loses sleep. While you relive the scene, it is you who bleeds again. The betrayer, most of the time, has already moved on with their life. They had lunch today, they laughed at something today, and you are here chained to a bond they forgot they forged. This is betrayal's cruelest trap. It hurts you once by the action, and then it hurts you 1,000 times by the memory. And the enemy loves this. He loves to see a chosen one transform a single wound into permanent torture. He applauds every night you spend awake brooding. He enjoys every time you tell the story again with the same hatred as the first day. Because while you do this, you are doing his work for free. You have become your own jailer, and he no longer even needs to exert himself. But today the iron hand of God has weighed heavily, and it weighed in a way you need to understand. God's justice does not work like human justice. Human justice is noisy, it is immediate, it wants to see blood. God's justice is silent, it is precise, and it arrives at the exact moment. You may not have seen it, but the instant that person betrayed you, something broke in their life on the spiritual plane. A protection fell, a door that was open closed. Because there is a terrifying truth for those who betray a child of God. You are not just losing a friend. You are losing the covering that relationship gave you. Betrayers don't realize it, but when they cut the bond with a chosen one, they cut the last thread that kept them protected. And what comes after that? I've seen it happen so many times I've lost count. Lives that seemed shielded began to crumble from the inside out. Not because of a curse you cast nothing, But because the presence of a chosen one in someone's life is a borrowed blessing, and when that person despises and betrays the blessing, they themselves turn off the tap that sustained them. I want you to understand the depth of this. When you were betrayed, you were not diminished. You were separated from those who did not deserve to walk by your side. And do you know why it hurts so much? Because you are loyal. Because for you, a given word holds value. Because you are the type who cannot imagine betraying someone, and precisely because of that, you couldn't imagine that they would be capable of betraying you. This loyalty of yours, which seemed naive in the eyes of the betrayer, is in fact the mark of the chosen ones. You love with wholeness. You trust with an open heart. And the enemy knows that these are precisely the most dangerous qualities for his plans, because a people who love with wholeness are a people impossible to divide. Your capacity to trust is not fragility. It is greatness. The problem was never your open heart. The problem was the unworthy person who entered through it. And never again confuse these two things. It wasn't you who erred in loving. It was they who erred in betraying. And here is the second layer of the game, the one few can see. The betrayal you suffered was a test. Not a test to see if you would break. God already knew you wouldn't break. It was a test to reveal, to unmask those who needed to be unmasked before they caused greater damage. Think of how many times a betrayal that seemed like the end of the world years later revealed itself to be the greatest blessing of your life. That person who betrayed you spared you an entire future of manipulation. That door that closed violently prevented you from entering a place where you would have been slowly destroyed day after day. Sometimes, betrayal is the abrupt way God finds to pull you out of a place where you stubbornly insisted on staying. You asked God to bless that relationship, and God, who sees what you don't see, knew that relationship was exactly what was preventing you from moving forward. The betrayal was not the failure of your prayer. It was its answer, in a form your pain could not yet recognize as deliverance. It was thinking of chosen ones like you, who need to see these layers, that I wrote the Chosen One's Manual for Protecting the Family. This digital book reveals exactly how to identify betrayers before they plunge the knife. What are the signs God places in your path that you, out of excessive kindness, tend to ignore? It shows who is playing against your family, against your peace, against your story, and why people who seem close are sometimes precisely the instruments sent to bring you down from within your own home. The book teaches the rules they never told you about how to shield your true bonds and how to return to God, through powerful forgiveness, every cause of betrayal you still carry. This knowledge was made for those who have awakened enough to know that spiritual reality is much deeper than what is taught in commonplaces, and who are tired of being hurt by the same traps, always by the same type of person, always in the same way. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. And I repeat, this content challenges narratives that many prefer to keep silent, because a chosen one who learns to forgive and shield themselves at the same time becomes untouchable. They have tried to silence this kind of truth before, so don't put it off. Download now and declare in the comments, I am chosen and I will download the digital book. Now take a deep breath, because what comes next is the key to everything. You have decided to act, and that changes the game. And the next truth I will deliver to you is what separates the chosen ones who live embittered for the rest of their lives from those who transform betrayal into a crown. There is a moment in every chosen one's life when they need to make an invisible choice. No one sees it. There's no audience. It's just you and God. It's the moment when you decide whether you will turn the page with hatred in your heart or truly surrender. And this choice defines the next few years of your life, because stored hatred doesn't stay still. It grows, it spreads, it contaminates relationships that have nothing to do with the original betrayal. You start to distrust everyone. You start to treat those who love you with the coldness you should have given to those who hurt you. And without realizing it, you become the betrayer's prisoner, because they continue to govern your emotions even when far away. Hatred is the only poison you drink, hoping the other person dies. And the cruelest part, the betrayer doesn't even taste it. The one who swallows it all every day in every memory is you. Forgiveness breaks this chain. But pay attention. True forgiveness is not a feeling, it is a decision. You don't need to feel like forgiving. You need to decide to forgive, and the feeling comes later, sometimes months later. When you decide, you are basically saying to God, I trust that you are a better judge than I ever would be. I let go. I surrender. I stop wanting to collect a debt that is not mine to collect. And it is at that exact instant that the iron hand of God, which was already weighing heavily, acts with full force. Because while you want to take justice into your own hands, God recedes and lets you try. But the moment you let go and say, vengeance is yours, Lord, he takes over the cause completely, and his justice is infinitely more precise than anything you could imagine. You could never do to the betrayer what God's time will do, because your revenge would at most reach the outside of their life. God's justice reaches the inside, the place where no one sees, but where everything truly hurts. I've seen it happen. People who betrayed, who lied, who destroyed, and who seemed to be prospering, until God's time arrived, and when it arrives, there's nowhere to run. It's not human revenge, which is petty and fleeting. It's the reckoning of the entire universe turning against whoever dared to harm one marked by the hand of the Most High. You don't need to lift a finger. You just need to get out of the way and let God work. Your only task is to remain clean, light, free from poison. Because the poison you keep for the betrayer is like drinking it yourself and waiting for the other to die. And while you remain in peace, something impressive happens. Your serenity becomes living proof that they failed. They wanted to break you, and there you are whole. There is no heavier sentence for a betrayer than to watch from afar and realize that everything they did to destroy you only made you stronger. And look at this beautiful thing. When you forgive, you are not being weak. You are being sovereign. You are showing that you are at such an elevated level that betrayal no longer reaches you. The betrayer wanted to see you on the ground, wanted to see you destroyed, wanted to prove they had power over you. And you respond with the thing they would never expect. You stand up, shake off the dust, forgive, and move on stronger than before. There is no more devastating blow against a betrayer than to see you prosper after they did everything to sink you. Your overcoming is your answer. Your peace is your revenge. Your growth is the sentence that the iron hand of God silently executes. While they expected to see you wither, you flourished. And there is no greater humiliation for someone who betrayed you than to discover that it was precisely their betrayal that opened space for your greatest phase. But I need to be honest with you about one last layer, the deepest of all. There is a betrayal that hurts even more than others. The feeling that even God seemed to have abandoned you at that moment. You prayed, you were faithful, you did everything right, and yet you were betrayed. And then came that poisonous question, where was God? Chosen one, I need you to understand this with your soul. God did not permit the betrayal because he abandoned you. He permitted it because he was promoting you. Every great mission in spiritual history was preceded by a betrayal. God's greatest instruments were betrayed by those closest to them. Why? Because betrayal is the portal. It is the painful passage between who you were and who you were called to be. You cannot carry a great calling with small people tied to you. Sometimes God uses betrayal itself to cut the ties you wouldn't have the courage to cut alone. You would never let go of that hand willingly. So heaven allowed that hand to let go of you first. It hurt, it bled, but it freed you for what was ahead. Think of the greatest names you know from sacred history. The one who was sold by his own brothers out of envy, thrown into a well left for dead, and who years later became governor, sitting in a place where he could destroy each of them, and chose to spare them because he understood a truth few understand. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. The one who was betrayed by a kiss, handed over for 30 pieces of silver by someone who broke bread with him, and who, even so, did not curse, because he knew that betrayal was the door to the fulfillment of everything. God's entire history with humanity is traversed by betrayals that, seen from above, were disguised promotions. And if it was like that for them, why would it be different for you? You are not being punished. You are being positioned. So today, when I tell you that the iron hand of God has weighed heavily against those who betrayed you, I am not inviting you to celebrate anyone's downfall. I am inviting you to understand that you are under a protection you cannot even fathom. Whoever messes with you messes with heaven. Whoever betrays you betrays God's plan for your life, and that comes with a price no human being can pay. Your part is merely to trust, forgive, and move forward, to stop being the judge and return to being the child, to leave the courtroom and return to the throne that belongs to you as a chosen one. Because while you remain stuck in the role of prosecutor, collecting, accusing, brooding, you abandon your true place. And your place was never behind those who hurt you. Your place was always ahead, walking towards the destiny that betrayal tried and failed to prevent you from reaching. And that is exactly what the Chosen One's Manual for Protecting the Family will teach you to do in practice. This digital book doesn't just leave you with the theory of forgiveness, it gives you the concrete path to free yourself from every betrayal that still imprisons you, to shield your family against the instruments of division that try to enter through the back door, and to recognize who is playing against you before the blow happens. It reveals what entities and spiritual revelations have already shown about this exact moment we live in, a time when loyalty is rare and betrayal has become common currency, and when the chosen ones need more than ever a map to avoid falling into the same traps. Inside it, you will find how to transform the pain of betrayal into fuel for elevation, how to pray for forgiveness even when the feeling hasn't arrived yet, and how to build a wall of protection around your loved ones so that no knife disguised as an embrace enters again. The link is in the first comment pinned at the top. But remember, this knowledge challenges what many prefer to keep hidden, because a chosen one who forgives, shields themselves, and sees the game becomes impossible to manipulate. And they have tried to erase this truth more than once. The right moment is not tomorrow, it is now. You did not get here by chance. Download now, secure your copy, and write in the comments with faith, "I am chosen, and I will download the digital book." Before I release you to live this new phase, I need to give you the truth that closes the cycle, because without it you run the risk of forgiving with your mouth, but remaining a prisoner in your heart. There is an enormous difference between saying, "I forgive," and truly letting go. Many people repeat the phrase of forgiveness for years and still wake up with a lump in their throat, still feel their chest tighten when they hear that name, still relive the scene in the shower, in traffic, before sleeping. Why does this happen? Because forgiveness from the mouth reaches the mind, but only the forgiveness of surrender reaches the soul. And surrender has a clear sign. You know you have truly forgiven on the day you can wish well upon the one who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you no longer want to carry hatred for even another second. This is the point where the chain breaks. This is the moment when the wound turns into a scar, and the scar turns into a testimony. And when you reach this point, something changes in the atmosphere around you. People start to trust you again because they sense you are light. Doors that were stuck open, opportunities that seemed blocked begin to flow. It's not a coincidence. It's that hatred is weight, and while you carry it, it anchors you. The instant you let go, you ascend. Betrayal threw you to the bottom, but forgiveness is the rope that pulls you to a higher level than where you were before you fell. That is why so many chosen ones look back years later and say sincerely, "If that hadn't happened, I would never have become who I am today." The pain passed, the lesson remained, and the crown, which seemed lost on the day of betrayal, was actually being forged right there in the fire of that injustice. Because the truth, chosen one, is this: betrayal tried to bury you, but they didn't know they were planting a seed. Today, the iron hand of God has weighed heavily against those who hurt you, and your task now is simple and powerful. Release the weight, forgive for your own freedom, and walk knowing that every step you take in peace is a sentence executed on the invisible plane. Whoever betrayed you has already lost. You, who remained faithful, have already won. And the best of your story is not behind you in the pain that passed. It is before you in the victory that has already been decreed. Lift your head. You are a chosen one. And the chosen ones are not defeated by betrayal. They are crowned through it. And to help you live this coronation in practice, and not just in the emotion of this moment, I leave you with this final reminder. The Chosen One's Manual for Protecting the Family is the map that will accompany you when this strength you are feeling now begins to diminish and life tries to pull you back into old bitterness. It is your shielding manual so that no new betrayal catches you off guard. your forgiveness guide to free old wounds that still ache in silence, and your weapon against those who play in the shadows against your family. The link is pinned at the top of the comments, the very first one. But this knowledge bothers many who prefer the chosen ones blind, divided, and embittered. And that's why this type of content has been silenced before and could be taken down at any moment. Don't put off what can free you now. You didn't reach the end of this video by chance. Download now, hold on to your map, and declare one last time with all your faith, I am chosen and I will download the digital book.